On Monday, the 13th of November 2023, Enlisted's developers released the second iteration of the test server for the massive major update where campaigns are merging. In this second test server, they released their brand new matchmaking system based on preferred and undesired campaigns, which, if we're all being honest, was dreadful. Almost nobody liked it. It even had the potential to destroy the game. And you guys said so yourself on the big poll on our 3,000 strong Enlisted Discord server. Link is in the description if you want to have your say. I thought it was terrible myself, and it never actually solved any of the issues with the game that it was supposed to solve. And contrary to the words previously used, it didn't even add any actual battle rating system. They kept the campaign system that they were telling us for so long was disappearing. And you could still, like the current system, get giga-stomped by guys with high-tier equipment as destroy some brand new players. And then they messed up uniforms for soldiers that were meant to be in the wrong campaign to where they were designed to be. There were literally zero benefits to that system over the current system we've got now. None at all. It's lucky for us then that an official Enlisted helper said that the developers had heard our complaints and were making changes. Things were looking up. Say what you want about Gaijin and Darkflow devs, but what you can't say is that they don't take into account to their player base. A couple of days later, we were given a new dev blog, and honestly, I was optimistic. I mean, anything was going to be better than the old proposed matchmaking system, right? Well, I was correct. This new system is better, but it's not ideal. And there's one thing mentioned on here that is absolutely terrible. Let me explain. After you subscribe, of course. The first section just says that they finally realized matchmaking balance is more important than anything else, which is literally true. One of the biggest complaints I get about the game all the time on all of my videos is how new players with Springfield bolt-action rifles go up against assault rifle STG 44 wielding Axis veterans whilst trying to attack Upper Beach on D-Day. Most of these new players who get frustrated by this exact situation end up saying things like the game is pay to win, or simply that everybody is cheating, which of course are both literally wrong. Therefore, balance based on equipment, as in a battle rating system, solves this issue entirely. Not sure why it took them this long to realize this, but at least it is known now. But how does this new battle rating system actually work? Well, it's much better than it was, and for that, I'm thankful. And many of the player base are. But it's not as much as they could do to make it the best. In summary, anybody playing with any tier 1 or tier 2 equipment will be in their own matches, as in tier 1 and tier 2 versus tier 1 and tier 2. Similarly, players with tier 4 or tier 5 equipment will play matches against other tier 4 and tier 5 players. Now this is much better than the old preferred maps system. Matches are going to be so much more balanced than they have ever been before. Players using equipment only in tier 2 or below will almost never play against anybody with tier 4 or 5 equipment. I use the phrase almost never here because the devs use the word mainly, which leaves us to deduce that there is a chance you can play against tier 4 or tier 5 stuff, but it's likely very low and only when there's absolutely no one queuing for whatever reason, even though there's always thousands of players queuing for this game. And if this chance is high, well, that's not very good. But tier 3 is where it becomes too much. Players with at least one tier 3 piece of equipment will end up with an equal chance, as in 50-50, in tier 1 and 2 games or in tier 4 and tier 5 games. It's literally gambling for masochists and sadists. One game you get to club some SEALs or new players using the only things they've got access to, bolt-action rifles, and the next game you get clapped from sweaty leaner assault rifle, impact grenade and flamethrower spam with Tiger 2s, IS-2s and P-47s. Good luck. Remember that equipping just one piece of tier 3 equipment classifies you as a tier 3 gamer. So my honest advice, if this system actually does go through, is to never use anything in tier 3. If you finish tier 2, don't put any of that tier 3 pain and suffering on your soldiers until you start getting some good tier 4 stuff. But if we're really thinking strategically, you should only ever be using tier 2 and tier 5 stuff, because these tiers contain the best things that you could be using to stay in the same lobbies you're trying to get into. Guaranteed, because of this, tier 2 and tier 5 are going to be so much more popular than all the other tiers. And anybody who still chooses to play tier 3 even under this system, you are brave. My respect to you. I'm not even that brave. Like, literally, I'm scared. But another negative thing with this system is the lack of freedom of map selection. Now, yes, I know it said earlier that the devs are caring more about balance than map selection, and I still agree with that. But equally, I don't see reason to not allow any tier to play on any map, as this proposed system would prevent. For example, Japan obviously only gets Pacific maps. I think there would be some mild outrage if there were katana-wielding anime stands attacking the deserts of Tunisia, but the USA, USSR, and Germany are all restricted to just a few maps at any tier. I mean, this is better than the old system, where many tiers could only play one campaign with no alternative, especially a problem for new players of Enlisted. But it's not much better, as it's just 2 now, or 3 for Germany. There are 2 things to mention here. 1 is that with this new system, you don't get to pick a map, and instead it's complete pot luck which one you get in your tier. Yet that's not the main concern. The second is that you basically never will get to play Berlin and Normandy with low tier or early war equipment. I mean, there's a tiny chance apparently, but it's not going to be common whatsoever. And if, for some reason, you are put there, then you are going to be against everybody with tier 4 and tier 5 stuff and get completely curb stomped. It just feels like it's going to get boring quickly for players. More boring than the current system. The benefit of the campaign system now is that you can switch between them at your own pace. But with this new one, you get no choice. And I've seen many players complain about this and hate the fact they get no decision at all. It's literally all that plagues my YouTube comments. But there might be a better system for everything. One where you could allow an equal chance for every campaign's maps at every single tier. And at the same time, changing this battle rating system to be able to have just tier 1 versus tier 1, tier 2 versus tier 2, etc. until tier 5 versus tier 5. And if for some reason there aren't enough players in a specific tier, then they do a plus or minus 1 system. You go up 1 tier or down 1 depending on which queue needs players, but only 1 tier difference. This allows everyone to play every campaign at every quality of equipment, because we know they can do this, as every campaign right now has its own bolt-action semi-autos and full automatic rifles, and it wouldn't add many extra queues to split the player base at all. None in the case of just allowing every map to be played at all tiers, with an equal chance, but only 3 more in the case of the single tier versus single tier system. This would make basically everybody happy. No more equipment based curb stomping due to unbalanced games, all maps are still playable for any player's preferred equipment set, and all squads can be in the historically accurate theatres of war. The funny thing is, this is what I, and I bet many of you, expected to be added to the game when they announced the campaign merge and battle rating system to begin with. Why isn't this the proposed system? Anyway, as per the next exception subcategory, basically only good stuff here. It's vague, but really what it says is that they will actually try and put specific correct squads in the right campaigns, unlike that second test server where, for example, you could play with the Old Man Volkssturm unit in every single campaign, apart from the defense of Berlin, and the Moroccan regiment only in the Pacific, fighting against the Japanese. Basically, this says the tech tree isn't going to be exactly the battle rating, which is literally what they said when they announced the tech tree before they even did their bad previous system, so things will move around to keep this game actually somewhat historically accurate, and much better than Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty Vanguard in this instance, which is important. I will give them that. The last section here is the thing that I hate most out of all of this. The whole other battle rating, map and tier system earlier in this devlog I can somewhat get on board with. It might not be perfect for me, but it isn't dreadful. But this is pretty dreadful. And the thing is, this isn't even the developers' fault. You can't blame them here, because they've only done this due to listening to a loud part of the player base complaining. For context, the devs announced many months ago that Stalingrad's engineers would keep their unique ability to equip assault rifles, and then, correctly, recently went back on this as they realised that it would be way too unbalanced for new players that come to the game and will never have access to this ability. But then, people who bought the Stalingrad pack, which includes me, some of those seem to complain. They justified complaints because they bought the Stalingrad pack, which had this ability, and that's one of the reasons, at least, that they bought it was because of this. But it wasn't. It was because of the 4 times quicker XP gain, multiple special premium squads, and access to tier 4 soldiers and weapons without upgrading. The fact that engineers could use assault rifles literally didn't cross my mind. But what these people don't seem to acknowledge is that these Stalingrad engineers after the update would provide a clear gameplay benefit that you paid for, hence pay to win. And not only that, but new players would never be able to buy it themselves, because the Stalingrad pack has been removed from the store. Therefore, the removal of this ability at the merge update was a good idea. But no, to appease these people, the devs announced special event engineer squads, but for all factions now, that can equip automatic weapons. It sounds initially like a good middle ground. Paid Stalingrad players will get 2 for free, but everyone will be able to get all 4 even as free players by obtaining them through grinding an event. Now that doesn't sound bad at all. For free players, awesome. But remember, if you don't play the events because your internet is cut out by a storm, you're on a trip, or have no time, tough luck. You are never getting these. These squads of engineers that are literally better than all other engineers, as well as all assaulters and medics in the entire game. What they have done here is made an exclusive, overpowered set of 4 squads that most players will never have, adding completely unnecessary questions in the future by new players asking why they can't ever get this specific engineer squad. It's bound to bite them in the arse in the future. It's the same thing with all these events paratroopers that are ridiculously overpowered, and paratroopers aren't even in the tech trees to begin with. It's one big screw you to all the future player base of this game, the new player base that this update is supposed to attract in the first place. The only way that they can save this is by allowing these same engineer squads to be obtainable at least once a year, every year, so players don't miss out for long. But the pure concept of them still is just unnecessary. It would have been fine to not give engineers these weapons at all, and that be the end of it. But no, because the developers are too good and they like to respond to players, they did this. Sorry. Rant over. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on this update. What are yours? Press like on this video if you agree with me and let me know down in the comments. On screen now are videos explaining fully the other big parts of this update, which are actually very good. The tech tree and soldier progression. Special thanks to all my patrons and YouTube channel members, including Levy, Vertix, Kitsune Lord 91, Ecolo QE, and others.